What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So today I'm bringing to you a video discussing my top picks for what you might want to consider investing in moving beyond the release of Lynx, because at the time of recording this video, we're just beyond national season and we're really just waiting for the World Championship to pretty much take place. And during this time, this is a really good opportunity for you guys to purchase cards that you might want to consider playing in the near future, because right now, since there's no major events going on, a lot of vendors are trying to just unload their cards, and since there really isn't much demand, since there's no regionals, no YCSs or anything like that, prices on cards are extremely low, and with the lingering Megatans and a bunch of reprints around the corner as well, this is just a buyer's paradise. So I wanted to give you guys just kind of some things to watch for if you're considering playing these specific decks moving forward once we are in, you know, the brand new Link format. And one word of caution I do want to give is that this list of decks is really going to be based primarily on archetypes that are going to be used that aren't anything related really to Zodiac, and a little bit of True Draco. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to be assuming that on the following ban list that we're going to be getting here in the next couple of months, that Zodiac is going to get absolutely slaughtered, and True Draco has a very high potential to get hit as well, but we'll get into more of that in a little bit. So to start off, I did mention True Draco, and True Draco is something you definitely might want to look out for investing in. Now, the reason is, I'm not specifically talking about Dragonic Diagram or Masterpiece, I'm talking about all of the other cards. I'm talking about cards like Dynamite Knight and Ignis and Heritage and all the other ultra rares in the set, because these cards are so cheap right now, but they're so powerful. And even though in the OCG, Dragonic Diagram and Masterpiece are limited to one, the deck is still performing incredibly well because it's being mixed with a bunch of other different types of decks, and these cards are incredibly powerful. They just generate free +1s. They got insanely powerful abilities like free draws, resurrections, extra tribute summons, and overall the archetype is still incredibly strong even if something happens to Diagram or Masterpiece. These are just something nice to have, and because you can pick up playsets of them really cheap, I would highly recommend it. Now, if you're feeling a little bit risky, you could invest in your Dragonic Diagrams and Masterpieces as well, because if these cards manage to dodge the next ban list, you can definitely see that these cards are going to jump exponentially in price, because a lot of the decks moving forward, if Diagram or Masterpiece aren't hit, are going to be running these cards, and that means that everyone's going to be wanting them, demand's going to shoot up, and supply is going to be very low, so you're going to see these cards go up in price, and they don't really have any reprint for the foreseeable future since they just came out in Maximum Crisis. So if you want to be safe, stick with the little guys because those probably aren't going anywhere. But if you're feeling risky, if you just want it, you know, if you can pick up the Masterpieces or the Diagrams for cheap, then definitely hang on to them because there is the chance that they might spike. Otherwise, if you're not really looking out for them, you can honestly just pass. And you know, even if they do spike, if you really just want to play it safe, spending the extra couple bucks so you don't lose a ton of money isn't a terrible idea either. Now, moving on to the next deck, I want to discuss Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are still an incredibly cheap deck as well, and True King Dinosaurs is a very strong deck currently in the OCG. And looking at these cards, you got stuff like OVIRAPTOR, you know, you've got Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Miscellaneousaurus, all of these really insanely powerful cards that just came out of a structure deck. If you're looking to pick them up just as individual singles, you're looking at maybe $1 a piece for something like OVIRAPTOR, and you're looking at not even 50 cents for something like Miscellaneousaurus or Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. So you don't even have to go out and purchase these cards. You could probably just go to your local game shop and trade for them rather easily for some other 50-cent or dollar cards, but it's something you really might want to consider investing in because the deck is so insanely powerful. The combinations of cards with things like the baby dinosaurs and Lithosygym, hell, Lithosygym is only like $1.50, maybe even $2 now at the most, so picking those up would be an absolutely spectacular idea as well. Just all of these cards outside of, again, something like Dragonic Diagram are really cheap. Now, The Yang Zings are something you might want to also consider investing in as well, because they are a complementary engine for this deck, and it has seen success in Japan. Thing is, the Yang Zings are kind of on the rise at the moment. Chiwens, I believe, are hovering around $7 to $8. Suwanis are about 3s, and I think Bians are probably maybe like 2s or something like that. Not too expensive, but Chiwens are a little bit kind of inflated right now, so if you can manage to pick them up for maybe around $5 or so, I definitely say you're getting a good deal, and it's a pretty worthwhile investment as well, because worst case scenario, you know, they're probably going to hover around that price for a while, and as soon as the deck surges in popularity, hell, the price might even go up, and you might be able to make some money if you manage to pick up any extra copies. So that's going to do it really for the decks that are still kind of meta in terms of the TCG. Now I kind of want to move on to some other archetypes that really are kind of more low-key, tier 2 and below, and starting off with that is ABC. Now ABC, as we all know, is an insanely powerful deck, and it's so funny because there hasn't been any hits in the TCG that directly affect, you know, the power level of the deck of ABC. The problem is, you know, we got Zodiac, and pretty much Zodiac just power crept everything out of oblivion, so ABC kind of just fell by the wayside. But the deck is still incredibly strong. It's seeing a massive resurgence in Japan, and again, because a lot of the cards came out of the structure deck, namely the main parts as well as the Dragon Buster itself, you can pick up the cards really cheap, maybe for about $1 a piece, maybe even less for that, depending on what someone's willing to let them go for. And for the rest of the cards as well, any other cards you might need, like the gold and silver gadgets, you know, the Photon Thrashers, hell, even Bujinte Tsukiyomi also just recently got a reprint in Battles of Legend as well, so the deck has become extremely affordable. So not only is it a very good option once we get into, you know, the Link format, but also because of the fact that, you know, it's a super cheap budget deck that you could play as well if you're not looking to play the meta decks. And with Union Hangar and Terraforming both still at 3, you know, it's a pretty solid option. Dragon Buster is still a card that I think a lot of people underestimate. I think the problem was with the presence of Whiptail being, you know, a thing, the parts were going to get banished, and it was very unlikely that you were going to assemble the ABC Dragon Buster as consistently as you were in a pre-Zodiac format. So that's something you're definitely going to want to check out as well. Moving on, Wind Witches. Wind Witches are insanely powerful because they're kind of like a pseudo Terror Top engine, but they end you with an indestructible Crystal Wing, and because of the way they function, they work very well in the Link format with the extra monster zone, only utilizing your one extra monster zone, so you still have a lot of flexibility with the other cards that you can play. Now, a bit of advice here, if you look at the price of Wind Witch Ice Spell, it's kind of like in the $8 to $9 range currently, but it's a card out of Raging Tempest, and I'm predicting that Raging Tempest is more likely than not going to be reprinted in the Megatins, so if you're looking to play something with Wind Witches moving into the Link format, I would get maybe your Glass Spells and your Snow Bells, and hell, even your Crystal Wing now because that just got reprinted. As for the Ice Spell though, I would say you can probably wait until the Megatin gets released, because once that happens, the price of Ice Spell is more than likely going to drop because there'll be tons of copies of it available on the market, and it'll be much more accessible for the masses. Moving on, the next engine I guess I want to talk about is Invoked. Now, Invoked is something that we've seen kind of spike out of nowhere because of the fact that it's being played a lot in the OCG, but over the time of the NAWCQ, we saw Invocation and Makaba spike to maybe $45 and $35 respectively, but now the Invocation and Makaba are lowering back down in price, which is really good. They had a temporary spike, but now they're going to be going back down, meaning it's much more affordable. But when you look at all of the other Invoked cards, when you look at cards like ALEISTER, Magical Meltdown, Raijin, Purgatrio, pretty much everything else that isn't Makaba or Invocation, the archetype is dirt cheap, and that's something that you really want to look at because this engine is so splashable. It's splashable with the Wind Witches, splashable with Kaijus. It's people in the OCG are splashing it with True Draco because of just the attributal, the wide range of attributes that the deck has at its disposal, meaning that it has access to a wide variety of different fusion monsters. So there's a lot of diversity there, and because the engine is just so powerful, meaning you only need stuff like Terraforming, Magical Meltdown, Invocation, and ALEISTER, it's very splashable in a lot of different decks. So if you can manage to find the Macabas and the Invocations on the low, I would definitely recommend doing that. I wouldn't pay retail for them at the moment because they're still a little bit high, at least at the time of recording this video, but if you can manage to trade them in a very fair trade, then I would definitely recommend doing that as well, because that's something that you're really going to want to look out for, just solely because of the pure versatility that that engine has in a plethora of different decks. Now there's one other archetype that I really wanted to discuss as well here, and that is Spellbooks. Now Spellbooks, I never thought in my life this deck was going to make a resurgence, but with the inclusion of a brand new spellbook coming out in one of the newer sets, it makes the Spellbook of Secrets and the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy actually very versatile, because it turns that little mini engine into kind of a trade-in engine, meaning you can dig for more cards, and because of the attributes and things like that, not only are you digging for more cards, but then you've got synergy with stuff like the Invoked engine, and all the fact that it's a spellcaster, and all these different things and little nuances that the spellbooks have at their disposal. Since these cards just got reprinted in the Battles of Legend, you can pick up copies of Spellbook of Secrets and Spellbook Magician of Prophecy for like under $1 a piece, and even if you don't plan on playing the engine immediately, just having a playset of each of those, because previously those cards are still worth something along the lines of like $8 to $10 a piece for the Ultras, and then when you get to the Ultimates, you're looking at like 15 to 20. So just having a playset of the Blue Boy as well as the Spellbook of Secrets, in case you might want to play with the new Spellbook card just as a complementary engine in any of your decks, doesn't really hurt that bad to have it on hand, just in case it might spike, because in the off chance that it does, you definitely want to make sure that you're prepared. So guys, that is going to do it for my video discussing my top investments moving into the Link format, because I really feel that there's so many powerful decks that are really underrated, especially when we get a new ban list, and these decks and archetypes really have the potential for their cards to shoot up in value, and since it's a buyer's paradise right now, and you can get a lot of these cards for basically dirt cheap, aside from, you know, the one-ofs like Invocation and the Macabas, this is a really perfect opportunity for you guys to build up, you know, whether it's your trade binder, your collection, or any of the cards that you might consider playing in the future, to have them at your disposal to best equip yourself moving into the new format. So guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys are looking forward to most moving into this new format, once we get the ban list, of course, because I think until then it's going to be a little bit rough still doing with Zodiac and True Draco, but I'm curious to hear what decks you guys are looking forward to playing once we have the new ban list. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video helpful, consider backing me on Patreon, because just by pledging only $1 a month, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.